Leadership law number 10. The law of connection. This is one of my favorite laws to teach, because leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand. This is a great law. And leaders have the ability to connect with people. Let me explain. I love to study communication. And by the way, of all the leadership laws, this law is probably the most communication law of all of them. There's another law that I will teach later on called the law of the buy-in that is somewhat communication, but this is a major communication law. And the law of connection says that every leader understands that the first thing you do is you touch a heart before you ask for a hand. In other words, you connect relationally with a person before you ask them to make commitments. They understand this law very well. Because I love communication and because I study communicators, every once in a while as a hobby, I'll go to a city, like I did a couple of years ago. I went to San Jose, and I spent all day. They had Chamber of Commerce there in San Jose had about 10 top speakers come in, or 10 well-known personalities come in, and they spoke for a day. And you've seen it. Maybe your city's done it, where you'll have, the Colin Powells and maybe the George Bush and a few of these people. They'll come in and they'll speak during the day, and you sit and listen to them. And I love this because I love communication. Now, what's interesting, when I did this one, what was interesting is that when I study communicators, I not only listen to what they say, but I watch them. Because I love the subject of communication, and I learn a lot by not what they say, but do they really connect? Because here's what I know. All great leaders and all great communicators, they connect with their audience. That's what they do. That's the only thing in common that communicators and leaders have in this area, and as they have the ability to connect. And we'll talk about that in a moment. Now, what was interesting that day, they had, let me see, how many did they have? They had about 8 speakers, of which 4 of them were not good communicators and 4 of them were very good communicators. And I'm going to, just because I want to teach just for a moment, I'm going to share with you the non-communicators and the good communicators, and I'm going to tell you why some were not good and some were good. And I'm going to teach this because we're talking about, again, a wonderful leadership law, the law of connection. For example, the bad communicators. The first one that I'm going to talk to you about really surprised me. It was Tom Peters. Peters and Waterman, In Search of Excellence, wrote that great book in the last decade. And they've written a lot of good stuff. And Tom Peters, I've kind of always appreciated what he wrote. And I was very excited about hearing him speak. But I want to tell you something. That day that he spoke, he didn't do a good job communicating. And here's why. The whole time he spoke, he had what I call a mad demeanor. In other words, he acted like he was mad at us. I don't think he was mad at us. We didn't do anything. I don't know why he would be mad at us. I mean, in fact, my sister-in-law and brother were with me and my wife, and I said, did you offend him? Well, I didn't offend him, but he's offended. I mean, he was having he just spoke like, I don't want to be here, and I'm not too sure I really like you, and all right, I'll put in my 55 minutes. I don't know. I want to hear him again, because I have a feeling I caught him on a bad day, okay? And haven't we all had bad days, huh? Okay, so I've had a bad day, so I want to hear him again, because I think I caught him on I don't know, maybe his wife burned his toast in the morning. I don't know, maybe he got a traffic ticket. I don't know, but I know this. The whole time he talked, he had a mad demeanor. And when he was done, I thought, didn't like him. Not a good communicator. Now, the second poor communicator, and don't get upset with me, because it's a former president, and I'm not doing any Republican Democrat stuff, so don't get upset with me, but I'm just talking about connecting, okay, and communicating. George Bush. Now, I'm not talking about Junior, I'm talking about Senior, the president, the ex-president. He's a wonderful man. In fact, he didn't have a mad demeanor like Tom Peters. He smiled the whole time. He has kind of that toothy smile. And he smiled the whole time. And the problem is he never said anything. For 55 minutes, I thought the best he can do is smile. In fact, I thought, we ought to set George on the side and just let him smile. And then we could hear somebody good. And then it's a good man. He's a good man. He didn't connect at all. Didn't connect at all. And then the third poor communicator was Cokie Roberts. Now, she's the newscasting lady, and I thought she would really be good because I kind of enjoy her on the newscast. But you know what? I'll tell you why she was a poor communicator. She talked down to us the whole time. I mean, the whole time. She kind of acted like, well, I'm from Washington, D.C., and I interview all these people, and I know, and you don't know, but I'll tell you some things, but I'm not going to tell you everything. And she just talked down to us. In fact, when she got done, I thought, I don't feel very good about her. So I looked at my sister-in-law, Anita. I said, Anita, did you like her? And she said, no. I said, why not? She said, well, she talked down to us the whole time like we didn't know anything. I thought, well, that's true. By the way, the word communicate means common ground. It comes from the word communis. It means common ground. And great communicators, they get on common ground with the people that they're speaking to. And she never got on common ground. No. Her holiness was way up there, okay? And we were way down there. And then the fourth poor communicator that day, and don't get mad at me again because it's another ex-president and happens to be a Republican, but I'm not picking on him. But Gerald Ford. Ooh. Now, I don't really have to explain much to you because you've heard him, haven't you? And if you've heard him, you understand. I mean, he is a good man, but he should not be allowed to talk. I mean, whoa. He not only didn't say anything, but he said it in a monotone voice. He never wavered. It was the most consistent thing I've ever seen in all my life. I mean, he never wavered. I thought, it's an art in speaking for 55 minutes in a monotone, boring voice. In fact, I got an idea with him. I don't think he ought to speak anymore, that's for sure, but I think he ought to speak on a tape and you could sell it for a tranquilizer. You have a hard time, having a hard time sleeping? No problem. Put Gerald in there. Just turn him on. Whoa, you'll be gone. Now, these were poor communicators. Now, let me tell you, there were four good communicators. One was Mark Russell. Oh, he was very good. And Mark Russell, he had humor and he asked questions. In fact, I counted him. In his 55 minutes, he asked 93 questions. In other words, he just didn't allow you to get away from him. If you just for a moment wanted to stray, it was like a leash. He'd ask another question and pull you right back into him. He was a wonderful communicator. And then, now you're going to get a little upset because this one was, I think one time a presidential candidate, or maybe he's another politician. Mario Cuomo, great communicator. Oh, he was so good. I mean, he had passion. I mean, he spoke with passion. When he got done, I'm on my feet. I'm clapping and I'm cheering, and Margaret's trying to pull me down and say, sit down, John, sit down. You don't even believe half what he says. But I said, it's so good. That's the day that I realized that I would rather hear a person that has passion that I don't believe all they say than a person that I believe all they say that doesn't have passion. And then Colin Powell. Oh, he was good. Colin Powell was like having milk and cookies before bedtime. He just gives you security. I mean, he spoke, and the way he spoke, it was kind of like, all is well. You can go to sleep tonight. Everything's under control. I mean, you just looked at Colin Powell and wanted to cross your heart and said, thank you very much. And then the last great communicator, and this is why I'm kind of talking to you about it for a moment. The last great communicator was Elizabeth Dole. Oh. She started speaking. She hadn't spoken for 5 minutes until I listened to her and I thought, oh, she's my friend. In fact, she had probably been speaking about 15 minutes and I just wanted to kind of wave to her. Oh, she was good. Remember a few years ago in the Republican convention? Remember when she when she came down off the stage at the Republican convention and she walked out among the people and talked to them, I thought, oh, she's good. She knows how to connect. She literally sees and likes people. And then I thought, why is Bob running for office? Am I missing something? Talk to me for a moment. He ought to stay home. Is he a good boy? Of course he's a good boy. Can he communicate? No. Send Elizabeth. She was so warm. She was so personable. She knew how to connect. Now let me just stop here for a moment. I just want to ask you a question. Do you connect as a leader with your people? And let me say something. Just because you had a meeting doesn't mean you connected. Just because you had a lunch doesn't mean you connected. Hey, pastors, just because you preached doesn't mean you connected. Man, I hear a lot of people preach, and I just want to say, excuse me. Nobody's home. We went to a church the other day, and the pastor, the whole time he preached, he didn't look at us. I mean, he didn't look at us at all. He just kept looking out there. There was a clock on the back wall, and he just looked at it. And he just preached to us like this the whole time. And I told Margaret, I said, Margaret, he doesn't see us. He doesn't see anybody. I mean, I wanted to get out of my pew. I wanted to go back there to the wall where the clock was, and I wanted to do jumping jacks. You know what I go? We're here. Then I thought, you know what we ought to do? We ought to all file out of the church quietly. He'll never know. He'll finish the sermon, look down and say, oh, the rapture came. I missed it. He's 20 minutes in his message. He's still not connected. I'm sitting on the fourth row, and I'm kind of ticked. I said, Margaret, I'm going to take my clothes off. I said, I'm just going to take, I said, he won't notice. I promise you, I can be as naked as a jaybird, and he is not going to notice. And Margaret, you know, Margaret's got all the class of family. She says, John, you cannot do that. No. She said, he may not notice, but we're going to notice. Keep those clothes on. Keep those clothes on. Now, we're having fun, but let me tell you something. So many people think just because they say something, other people heard it. Just because they preached a message on vision, people bought into it. No. The law of connection says that we need to connect with our people. Let me say, this is key. It's in your notes. You can't move people to action unless you first move them with emotion. The heart comes before the head. And all great communicators have one thing in common. They connect with people. And connecting with people is the leader's responsibility. I used to love to go down to General Electric in the yard where the train would come and the engine would come and back up to the train cars and pull supplies out of the General Electric plant. And you know what I always found? The engineer always went and found the train cars. The train cars didn't find the engine. The leader has to find the people. The leader has to back up. And by the way, when you hit the people, that doesn't mean you connected. You say, oh, I just had a meeting. You know, they're walking out. No. You don't. You got to couple. You got to couple with the people. You got to connect with. If you don't couple with them, you can't take them where you need to take them. And that's a leader's responsibility. So let me give you 9 ways to connect with people. Number 1, connect with yourself. The first thing I would encourage you to do is you've got to be in touch with yourself. If you cannot connect with yourself, you'll never connect with others. In other words, you got to be real, folks. You got to be real. Do you ever watch Christian TV? Where do they find those people? I mean, once in a while you just channel surface and all of a sudden you see more hair than should be on a head. And you say, whoa, who is their beautician? There are two things I watch for, just usually at 5 minutes at a time, and I watch them both for entertainment. One is Christian TV, and the other is wrestling. And I'm not sure when I watch them which one is the most fake. I mean, I look at these people and say, whoa, whoa, where did they come from? I mean, just go watch a little bit of that Christian TV. Whoa. And you hear them talk and all the stuff they're talking about. I'm thinking, wow. And the other day it got so bad, I decided to turn the sound off. And I just had them there, and they were without the sound. And can I tell you, when you turn the sound off, it doesn't get any better. Just a thought. Now, you got to connect with yourself. If you can't connect with yourself, you're never going to connect with people. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, man, I'm glad I became a Christian before I had Christian TV. I'd have never gotten, whoa, you think I'd have come to Jesus with those folks there? No. You okay? Not only do you have to connect with yourself, number two, share with openness and sincerity. Share with a sense of transparency. Be very sincere in what you teach and what you believe, but let them see the openness that this allows them to approach you. Number three, live your message. In other words, you are the messenger, so live what you teach and teach what you live. This is the visualization. Remember, 89% of anything a person ever learns, they learn visually. In other words, they see it first, only 10% through the years. So you want to visually connect with people. And the way you visually connect with people is you live your message. Number four, know your audience. Walk slowly through the crowd, know who you're talking to. You can't connect with people unless you know something about them. Number five, communicate on their level. What I mean by that is get down to where they are and talk to them about where they live. I don't mean this wrong, but pastors, again, for us who are church leaders, when we came out of seminary, they taught us to answer questions that nobody's asking. You got to connect with people. And how do you do this? Well, get rid of your preacher's voice. I mean, I don't know. We talk like this, and the moment we get behind the pulpit, we go from this to this. We got this deep baritone, and we're saying thou. Thou who? Is that the way you talk? You go out, you go to the grocery and say, how art thou? They're going to call the wagon on you, folks. And by the way, when you talk about God, it's not God. There's not an A at the end. Just get real. Just get down to earth, right where people are. Talk to them. Here's a thought. Look at them in the eye. Have a conversation. Quit doing the Christianese stuff. Can't even understand that stuff. If you want to do that, get over in a group of your own Christians and kind of talk that language. When you talk to a real person, here's a thought, give them a real language, one that they can understand. Get rid of that baritone voice. Well, we think we're holy if we got a low voice. Wouldn't it be a crack up if God was an Irish tenor? You get up to heaven and God says, come on in. Come on, Mabel, let's get out of here. Whoa! Number 6. I'm going to try just to finish this off without any more theatrics. Give yourself totally to the people and to the message. Oh, that is so key. Give yourself totally to the people and to the message. They'll know if you're giving them their best. Number 7, believe totally in the people and the message. See, if you believe in the message, now I want to help you connect here. If you believe in the message but not the people, you won't move them. Did you hear that? I hear a lot of communicators. They really believe in their message, but they don't believe in people. And can I tell you something? People know when you're communicating to them. They know when you're trying to connect with them if you really believe in them. And so if you believe in the message, but you don't believe in the people, you'll never move them. Leaders know that. That's so key. But if you believe in the people, but not the message, you won't know where to move them. So you've got to believe in the people, and you've got to believe in the message, and you've got to put the two of them together. That's when you connect. When you believe in the people and you believe in the message, now all of a sudden you have developed a connecting point with them. Number 8, share how the message has touched you. In other words, put yourself in the middle. Too many speakers, too many leaders, when they communicate, they communicate as observers instead of participants. And so they're saying, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. No. We need to do this. Put yourself right in the middle. Put yourself right in the middle as the leader. Let them know that you're going to take the journey with them. Let them know that the message you are sharing with them has already impacted your life. Let them know that it's changed you. In fact, the reason you're excited about it changing them is because it changed you too. And all of a sudden, it's no longer, there's no gap there. There's not the clergy laity gap. Cut that stuff up. You shouldn't have clergy laity. You just ought to have clayity. Cut the gap out and connect with them and let them see that you're in the middle of this thing. When I communicate, a lot of times I'll talk to a person. I'll say things like, "Well, I was on the plane the other day, and I began to think about this, and I pulled out my legal pad and I started writing things down." Now, what I do is when I start to tell a story, I put myself in the middle of the story, and I invite you to sit down beside me. In other words, I say, come on, take the trip with me. That's what great communicators do. People that connect, they're not distant, they're not aloof, they're not an observer, they are a participant. They're right there in the heat of the battle with you. They feel what you feel, they see what you see, they think what you think, they hear what you hear. They're together with you, and that's what the connecting is all about. Number 9. Offer direction and hope. And the reason that you offer direction and hope is because as a leader, you always give people not only the path that they should walk, but you make sure that you always give them light at the end of the tunnel. Napoleon said, leaders are dealers in hope. And if you want to connect with people, that's how you do it. Now, let me just wrap up this session by taking you down. It's in your notes because I was on a plane one day and I pulled this out of USA Today, and it was so good, and it fits the law of connection that leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand. It sums up what I'm trying to say better than anything else. On Boss's Day, 1994, a full-page ad appeared in USA Today, and it was contracted and paid for by the employees of Southwest Airlines, and it was addressed to Herb Kelleher, the company's CEO. And here's what it said in USA Today. You talk about connection. Watch this. Thanks, Herb, for remembering every one of our names, for supporting the Ronald McDonald House, for helping us load baggage on Thanksgiving, for giving everyone a kiss, and we mean everyone, for listening, for running the only profitable major airline, for singing at our holiday party, for singing only once a year, for letting us wear shorts and sneakers to work, for golfing at the Love Classic with only one club, for out-talking Sam Donaldson, for riding your Harley Davidson into Southwest headquarters, for being a friend, not just a boss. Happy Bosses Day from each one of your 16,000 employees. Doesn't that say it all right there? Here's a leader that connected with his 16,000 employees. By the way, you know what's interesting? Only one of all those things they were thanking Herb for, only one of them had anything to do with the business. One time they said, thanks for running the only major profitable airline. Only one. Everything else was relational. Singing at our party, riding the Harley Davidson into the headquarters, singing only once a year, letting us wear shorts. Everything else was connecting. Everything else was relational. Okay, questions. Number one, how well do I connect with others in the following areas? How well do I connect speaking, through conversations, through small group meetings, through board meetings? Because you may connect in one area better than you connect in another. And then evaluate your mastery of the law of connection. In other words, sit there and say, okay, how well do I do this? And look at yourself. And then I would encourage you to just, again, if you're weak in this area, shore up your weaknesses by resources. Okay? Nothing's more fun for a leader than when we know that we just connected. And when we know that we connected, then all of a sudden it all seems to pull together.